Hey everybody. Today I thought I'd do a video on angels and demons. Okay, why this topic? Well, I guess the best way for me to start is to kind of start from the beginning. This is a topic that I guess is kind of near and dear to my heart in a weird way, I guess, because it's a topic that I've lived with and had to deal with pretty much all my life. Ever since I was about 6, 7 years old, somewhere in that age range, I have always had to deal with the scary side of life, which would be the demons, I guess. I don't know why. Well, maybe I do know why, and I'll kind of talk about that later in the video. But ever since I was a little kid, I've always been haunted or terrorized or scared, whatever, demons. Because not only did I have reoccurring dreams where I was always being chased by the devil, he always, in my dreams, came to me as a man. And he was always dressed the same way, like just in regular street clothes, but always dressed the same way. And I always knew who he was, and he was always chasing me and terrorizing me as I was a kid. But aside from dreams in real life, I did have some experiences where I could feel things. I could, I knew there was a presence in my room, and I don't like talking about this kind of stuff because it really kind of freaks me out. Okay, creeps me out. But I guess I want to talk about it because I want people to understand just how real this all is. It's not just Hollywood. It's not movies. It really is. It's real. So with me, I guess it really kind of started, like I said, at a young age. I had times where I would be in bed asleep or trying to sleep as a kid, knowing that there was something out there lurking. And I remember one particular night I was really freaked out, scared, too scared to even get out of bed and run into my parents' room. I was just frightened. And I had my covers over my head, I was underneath my blankets, and I remember I was just sweating, and it was hot, and I was scared to go to sleep because I could just tell there was something out there. And this particular night, I lifted up my covers, and there were 2 red eyes staring back at me. Of course, that freaked me out. So, yeah. But I guess as I got older, I finally, those reoccurring dreams, the way the dreams went when I was a kid, he was always chasing me, and I would fall down, and he'd get me, and then I'd wake up, and that was the end of the dream kind of thing. But I remember when I was about 21, 22, I think I was about 22, something like that. I had this one dream. It was very real, like an experience. It was in the middle of the afternoon. I had fallen asleep, took a nap, and suddenly he was in my apartment, and he was coming after me, and he was trying to, and I was like going into another room where I had a phone. I was grabbing the phone, trying to call my husband at work, tell him I was in trouble, that kind of thing. And then, of course, the devil, he like runs at me and tries to push me over the desk kind of thing, because my other room was like an office. But then at some point, which is something I did something that I could never do as a kid, but as an adult, I got in his face, and I just said, you know what, I believe in God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and you need to leave. And I haven't had any of those dreams since. And so that was one thing that I always had to deal with. But now, since Jesus appeared to me in '06, January 22nd of 2006, I've had to deal with spiritual beings, demons, whatever, on a different level. Excuse me. Again, I don't like talking about these things. I don't even like to watch scary movies because for me, I live it. But for me, I've had times where I've had to actually throw holy water around in my room because I could feel it. I could feel their presence. For a while, I told my priest that there were 2 demons that would come into my room. I could hear their little footsteps walking in my room. I could hear that. And then they'd be talking to each other. And they'd be saying like, oh yeah, let's get her. Let's scare her, that kind of thing. And then they would bat my blinds and all this other stuff. Anyways, I mean, I had nights where I would wake up, it felt like someone's sitting on my chest. I could feel this weight sitting on my chest. There was another time I felt like I was being strangled, being attacked. And even though I didn't have a rosary in my hand, I just, for some reason, I thought I did because I think I had it earlier in the evening, but it was on my bedside. But as I felt like I was being strangled, I took my hand and I just went like that, and I like pushed it off me, got it off me. So there's been a lot of nights where I've woken up and I have felt the really bad presence, and I've had to say my Hail Marys, my Our Fathers, and that kind of thing. And it's very scary and it's very real. And I've had to get some, I think they're Saint Benedictine, I can't pronounce it right, Benedictine medals. And I actually got a bunch of those medals and took them down to my parish and had my priest bless them and pray over them with an actual exorcism prayer. And then I pinned them to all the mattresses in the house, all my kids' mattresses on their beds, and then one on each side of the mattress in my bedroom, one on my side, one on my husband's side. So, and I had my house blessed as well. So, I'm already getting the chills here. It's like, it freaks me out. It really creeps me out. Okay. Again, I want to do this really quick and dirty here because I don't like talking about this, okay? And I don't like giving them credit or anything like that, okay? So, but anyways, they're very real. And I guess one thing that I do want to say, for anybody out there who doesn't think these things are real, please, you need to understand they really are. And you have to be careful because certain things can be portals for these things to come into your house, come, attach to your person or whatever. And so you have to be very, very careful about all that. And I think for me, in my case, I don't think I've mentioned it or anything so far, but my oldest son is actually a seminarian. He is on his way to going into the priesthood, and he's actually, I think, only like a couple of years away from completing that. And I think this is one of the reasons why I get attacked, because they probably, even from the time I was a little kid, maybe they always knew that I was going to have a child and eventually go into the priesthood. I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works, I'm just a normal person trying to live a normal life, and these things, they bother me. They hassle me. So, so maybe that's one of the reasons why, because of my son. I don't know. Who knows? That's my only thought for it. Um, uh, so if you don't want to deal with stuff, stay away from the Ouija board, stay away from tarot cards, stay away from mediums who do seances and all that. Stay away from it. I mean, just don't mess with it. The Bible says do not try to contact the dead. Don't mess with certain things. And there's a reason, okay? And so we don't want to do that. And so, anyways, just so if you don't want to be hassled or bothered by anything, just leave all that alone. And just make sure you pray. And of course, you can pray your St. Michael prayer, for protection, for safety. So, anyways, yeah. So, I mean, there's probably a lot more that I can say about it right now. But again, it's difficult for me to talk about it because I am, unfortunately, one of those people. I'm like a spirit magnet. And it's like they know where I'm at. So, but I do want to say, you can always, and I'm going to talk about angels in my next segment. The way you can always tell the difference between a good angel and a bad angel is how it feels. Because I know people are like, oh, well, Satan can come in as an angel of light and blah, blah, blah. Yes, well, I'm sure he can, but you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the evil. You're going to feel the hair standing up on it. You're going to feel that. If it's an angel of God, you're going to feel more a joyful feeling. And I'll get more into that in the next segment. So there is a way to discern, and one's a bad feeling and one's a good feeling. And so it's very distinctive. And for anybody who's ever had to deal with these things, they know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Your hair standing on end, you get the and the air feels just kind of heavy and just, not good. It's just a not good feeling. So, anyways, so I just kind of wanted to mention that really quickly, but it is something that I've been dealing with, again, ever since I was a little kid. So some of this stuff that happens to me is not really new. It's just, for me, it's all intensified. Ever since the Lord appeared to me, everything has completely magnified, intensified on a different scale, on a different level. So, so maybe all the stuff that I got as a kid was kind of a preparation, maybe. I don't know. It's like, I just want to be a normal person. But, growing up with all this, I always thought it was normal, and I didn't know any different. So, yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to end this segment, and then we'll talk about angels. Okay? All right. Okay. So this is my segment on angels, good angels, God's angels. Okay, the good stuff, the good guys. All right. The first time I had an encounter with one of God's angels, I was, I think I was like 16, 17, in that age range. I was in high school. And my first real experience that I had was when I had I was asleep, I was dreaming, but during the dream I had an experience where an angel came up to me and he held out his hand and he had me hold his hand and he said, on the count of 3, I'm going to take you up and out of your body. So he held my hand and he goes, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm out. And then the next thing I know, I'm standing next to an angel. It could have been my guardian angel. I don't know. I really don't know. But anyways, I was standing next to an angel, and then the other angel that pulled me out was like over here in front of me. So there's like 2 angels here. And I'm standing there, and I'm looking at my body on the ground. Okay, my body's on the ground, like asleep or whatever. And I'm standing there next to the angels. Okay. So there's a couple of observations here. The very first observation was the angel's voice. The angel's voice talking to me, even though it was speech, like what I'm talking, it was completely different. It was like as it was enunciating the words, the sound was like music, a very high pitched, orchestrated kind of music, something I've never heard before. But yet I understood what the angel was saying. I mean, it was speech, but it was just the sound that the speech had. It's so hard to explain. But the sound that the speech had, it was like this high pitched music. It was just really, really unearthly, just really different. So, and then the second observation was the feeling of peace and the air. I guess if I had to describe how the air felt, if the air could have a feeling, or just the atmosphere that I was in had a feeling, it was pure love. I mean, the feeling of love that I was standing in was so thick. It was just, I never experienced love like that before. I've never felt anything like that in my whole life. Not before then and not since then. And that feeling of extreme love. It's interesting. Sometimes I watch videos on near-death experiences, and people will talk about how they feel that feeling of love. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I felt, you know? And so that kind of lets me know that the experience that I had was real. Even though it was kind of in a dream state, it was real. You know, they were letting me experience what this was like. And so, anyways, yeah, so I had this experience, and it was like I went to school and I told my friends, I said, you know what? I'm not afraid to die, because when you're out of your body, it is so peaceful, and all you feel is love. Okay, so good angels. Okay, so um, my next encounter with an angel happened in about 82, 83. It was somewhere in that time frame. And what happened was I had like this little mini vision. And what it was in this vision, it was like I could close my eyes, cover my eyes, and I could watch like a movie. It was like I was watching a movie of an angel standing like on a cliff, and he had a sickle, and he was going like this, this motion. And, and of course I looked that up, I guess, it's about, like the harvest or something, I don't know, something with the sickle. So anyway, so I saw that, and it was like I said, it was like a little miniature movie. And so that was kind of weird. But ever since then, I have been seeing who I believe to be Saint Michael. I've talked to different people over the years, about what it is that I see, and everybody has said, "Oh, that's Saint Michael." So it's like I think I got my confirmation, over the years from different people. So, but what I see though is, well, he visits me a lot of times right before I go to bed. I'll be in bed and I'll say my prayers or whatever, and you know, and uh, and then suddenly I'll feel his presence, and then I'll see not so much his whole body. I think maybe in the beginning, I think I did here and there kind of see like a whole kind of parts of the outline of him, but now mostly what it is I see like his arm, his hand, his from about here on, his arm and his hand and his sword. And so, and I'll just see that he'll just kind of whatever, and I can reach out to him, like I'll be laying in bed and I'll just reach out and he'll touch me, and I could feel him, and it just gives me just the most peaceful sensation throughout my whole body. It's just amazing. And so, but I've been seeing that ever since, like I said, about 82, 83, somewhere in that time frame. And all these years later, I mean, I do have periods of time where I don't see anything, I don't see him, I don't, feel anything or whatever. I guess sometimes it just depends on what's going on in my life, or, or my spiritual life, or I don't know. I haven't really pegged that down. So, anyway, so I see him, I feel him, and then there was one time. This was after Jesus appeared to me in '06. I was at the church, and I would go to the church for adoration, and when I would sit in the pew, and the church is empty, and I'm going to adoration, praying my chaplet on the altar. I can see next to the tabernacle where Jesus is, there's an angel about, I don't know, about this far away from the tabernacle, not too far. And he has a sword, and he constantly bows. He's constantly bowing, and like in that kind of motion. And so I call him, I don't know who he is, but I call him the angel of the altar, because I don't know what else to call him, So I do see him, and again, it's mostly, kind of parts of his body, and then the sword and everything. And then there was one time I came in, it was Ash Wednesday, and I don't know if it was '07 or '08, it was somewhere in that time frame. And it was Ash Wednesday, and I was praying my chaplet, and standing on the altar was St. Gabriel. And I could see his sash, like a sash, going across him. And he just very loudly and very abruptly said out loud, rebuke Satan, rebuke sin. And then that was it. It's like, okay, but it was Ash Wednesday, right? First day of Lent. So, so just over the years, over time, in different situations, I've been blessed to see these beings, and it's not like I see them like solid, like how I'm solid. I mean, they are more, they are transparent. I can see their outline. Whatever it is, whatever body part of them that I see, it is an outline of it, and then it's transparent. But you can see, like, if they're wearing like clothing, like a robe or a whatever, I can see it, but it is transparent. And it's kind of hard to explain, but it's just, you see it and you see it, you know it because you see it. So, but again, when you see an angel of God, you know it's of God, because the way it leaves you feeling, because of the peace that you feel, the peace and the joy that it gives you. And, it's, I've had only one scary occurrence with an angel, and he was on the altar, and somebody was talking and saying something, and he had a giant sword, and he was pointing it at me, and then saying, "You will be convicted." And then that was something I talked to the priest about and everything. But I mean, that kind of, scared me. It's like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? I'm in trouble now. I don't know. But then later, I found out what that meant. So, anyways, so that's those are my experiences with all this. And then I guess I can do one more segment, but I think I'm going to do it separately from this. And it will be about ghosts, because that's a whole nother topic. Again, I am one of those people where just for some reason I am like a spirit magnet, and I'm just want to be a normal person, but for some reason there's just something about me that they just are very attracted to me. So I'm going to do a separate video on souls of purgatory and ghosts, because those are also two things that I've had experiences with. So I think it's kind of fascinating. It's interesting. So yeah, so we'll talk about that. All right, if you have any comments or anything, feel free to leave them. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer. So yeah, okay. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you.